The sky above neon Tokyo changed without warning. At first, it was just a whisper in the air, like the sound of distant thunder. People on rooftops looked up. Taxi drivers pulled over. Children stopped their games in the streets. The clouds began to swirl, slowly at first, then faster, turning colors no human had ever seen. Shades of violet, silver, and dark blue danced above the city. Then the ships appeared. Massive and silent, they floated above the skyline like giant glowing insects. Their smooth black surface reflected the city lights below. They made no sound, but every soul in Tokyo felt their presence. Within minutes, every screen in the city turned on by itself. Phones, TVs, giant billboards, even wristwatches. A message appeared in glowing letters. "We come in peace." A figure followed, a tall, silver-skinned alien with glowing white eyes and a calm voice. "People of Earth," he said, "I am Vectal. We bring no war. We bring knowledge. We offer help, not harm." People gasped. Some clapped. Some cried. For years, scientists had warned that one day Earth might meet other life. Now it was happening in the heart of Japan. The Japanese Prime Minister quickly made a speech asking citizens to stay calm and hopeful. He welcomed the visitors on behalf of humanity. "Let this be the beginning of a new age," he said. That same night, the aliens sent gifts, strange machines that could clean air, heal sickness, and grow crops in minutes. They placed tall glowing towers in hospitals, parks, and schools. "Free to use," they said. People cheered. In only 24 hours the city changed, but not everyone celebrated. Dr. Reina Sato stood on a balcony in the Central Research District, watching the alien ships with narrowed eyes. She was one of Japan's top scientists, a physicist, calm and sharp. Unlike others, she didn't feel wonder. She felt a chill. She turned to her assistant. "Too fast," she whispered. "Too easy." The assistant, a young woman named Yumi, asked, "You don't trust them?" Reina didn't answer. Instead, she opened her tablet and started scanning the air for energy signatures. Her face grew still. That evening, on the edge of the city, a street patrol officer named Daiki walked alone near the old shipping yards. He'd been hearing reports. Strange lights, missing cats, odd smells. Nothing confirmed, just whispers. As he walked past an old warehouse, his flashlight flickered. He moved closer. Something sticky was on the ground. It glowed faint blue and smelled like burned plastic. He knelt to touch it, then stopped. There were small footprints beside it, but not human ones. Before he could radio for backup, the light above him buzzed, and the alley fell into silence. Something moved in the shadows. The next morning, Reina met with an old friend, Toshi Watanabe, a quiet hacker who worked underground in Tokyo's tech zone. His fingers were always moving, tapping, building, testing. "I've been watching their machines," he said. "They're not just helping us. They're collecting something." Reina leaned forward. "What?" "Everything," Toshi replied. "Data, maps, faces, DNA, and they're sending it back, into space." Reina's stomach turned. "Can you prove it?" "I already did," he said, sliding her a small drive. "But if they find out I have this, I'm dead." She nodded. "Then we don't let them find out." Later that night, Reina returned to her lab. She was the only one there. At least, she thought so. The room was cold. Her machines were off, even though she'd left them on. She walked slowly, heart pounding. Then she saw it. A tall figure stood at the far end of the room, still as stone. It looked human, but its skin shimmered like metal and its eyes glowed faintly white. She froze. It spoke without moving its lips. "You are not like the others. That will be a problem." Reyna didn't speak. She pressed a silent alarm button under her desk, but nothing happened. The lights flickered. The thing stepped forward. Suddenly a noise came from the hallway. Running footsteps. The figure turned its head sharply and vanished through the wall like smoke. Yumi rushed in, breathless. "I saw someone, no, something, leaving." Reyna grabbed her tablet and whispered, "They're watching us. All of us. This isn't peace. This is a test." She looked out the window at the glowing towers now scattered across Tokyo like flowers. "And I think we just failed." Tokyo had changed, but not in the way people thought. Everywhere the alien towers glowed softly, like night lamps. They hummed quietly, spreading their strange blue energy into the air. People walked past them, smiling. Children played around. Sick patients recovered quickly in hospitals. Crops grew faster. Air smelled cleaner. But deep underground, far from the glowing lights, Dr. Reyna Sato was not smiling. She sat inside an old military bunker under the city, going over the data that Toshi had stolen. Numbers, energy spikes, signal trails. They all pointed to the same truth. The towers were not just helping people. They were watching, recording, learning. "They're scanning everything," Reyna said, her voice calm but tense. "DNA, brain, waves, behavior patterns. This isn't peace. It's preparation." Toshi nodded beside her, chewing his pen. "They're mapping our weaknesses, like we're insects in a jar." Reyna stood and walked to the screen showing a satellite image of Tokyo. Blue lights marked each alien tower. A new one had appeared, on top of the city's central power grid. She frowned. "They're choosing spots that control the city. Water, energy, transport." Toshi's eyes widened. "What if they're setting up for something bigger?" Reyna didn't answer. She didn't need to. That same night, a strange silence settled over a research lab in Shibuya. The lab had been gifted an alien machine just 3 days ago, something the aliens called a biostabilizer. It was supposed to heal damaged tissue and cure diseases, but that night the doors locked by themselves. The lights flickered red. The researchers inside screamed, but only once. By morning, the lab was empty. The government said it was a power failure, a gas leak, nothing more. But Reyna knew better. She received a call from a friend who worked at that lab. The message was only 3 seconds long. A whisper. "They're not what they say." Then silence. The next day, Reyna and Toshi met a retired military officer, General Kenji Ishikawa. He had once commanded Japan's defense forces but had vanished after a political scandal. Now he lived alone in the old city, surrounded by books and old weapons. "You're not the first to bring warnings," Kenji said, pouring tea without looking at them. 2 nights ago, 3 soldiers went missing near the alien tower in Yokohama. All trackers lost. Drones disabled. No bodies. Toshi leaned forward. "Why didn't you go public?" Kenji looked at him sharply. "People don't listen to fear when they are busy enjoying free gifts." Reyna showed him the energy readings. "They've buried something under those towers. And it's not friendly." Kenji nodded slowly. Then it's time someone did something. That evening, Reina returned to her lab alone. The door was open. She had locked it before she left. Inside, everything was neat, but something felt wrong. She moved carefully. Her computer was on. Her notes were moved. The air smelled faintly metallic. She checked her hidden files. Gone. A screen blinked on. Bechtal's face appeared. Calm. Smiling. "You ask too many questions, Dr. Sato," he said, his voice smooth. "Curiosity is a fine trait, but dangerous." Reina stood frozen. Bechtal continued, "You humans are clever, but peace requires trust. If you can't offer that, we will take what we need." The screen went black. Reina ran. Back in the underground bunker, Reina and Toshi worked all night. They designed a signal jammer, a device that could block the alien tower's communication lines. It was risky. If it worked, the aliens would know someone was fighting back. But they needed proof. They chose the smallest tower, located near a closed school building. Under moonlight, they moved quietly through alleyways, carrying a black box the size of a backpack. Toshi placed it near the tower base. Reina adjusted the signal strength. "Ready?" he asked. She nodded. He pressed the button. For a moment, nothing. Then, the tower flickered. Its light dimmed. A strange humming noise filled the air. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted. A panel opened. Mechanical arms reached out, searching wildly like claws. Reina shouted, "Run!" They sprinted down the street as the tower glowed red. Alarms echoed in the distance. Sharp, unnatural sounds. They had been discovered. The next morning, news channels showed images of the tower malfunctioning. The official story blamed weather interference. But Reina and Toshi knew better. Back in the bunker, Reina placed the broken arm they had grabbed from the tower on the table. Inside was a scanner, designed not just to heal, but to rewrite. "They're not fixing us," Reina said. "They're changing us." Toshi added, "Piece by piece, mind by mind." Reina looked up at the dark ceiling of the bunker. "We need to warn the city," she whispered. But deep down she knew something else. Warning wasn't enough anymore. It was time to fight. The sun rose over neon Tokyo, but the light felt cold. People continued their lives as if nothing had changed. Children walked to school. Vendors opened their stalls. Drones buzzed quietly overhead. The alien towers still glowed, humming softly, in every district. But deep below the city, Dr. Reina Sato and Toshi knew something terrible was coming. Their signal jammer had worked. They had seen the alien tower react with violence, and they had captured a piece of the machine that showed the truth. Those towers weren't for peace. They were for control. Still, the world outside didn't believe them until everything changed. At exactly 2 p.m., the sky over Tokyo turned dark. A strange energy pulse rippled through the air. The alien towers lit up at the same time. Bright, red. Every screen in the city blinked once, then showed Bechtal's face. He wasn't smiling this time. His voice echoed through every speaker, every phone, every device. "Humans of Earth, you were given a choice. You failed. You chose fear, doubt, and resistance. Now we choose for you." The message ended, and the attack began. The alien towers exploded, not outward, but inward. Panels opened. Metal arms stretched out. From deep inside, machines rolled into the streets. They looked like silver wolves, fast, cold, and merciless. People screamed, cars crashed, Streets turned to chaos. Hospitals that used alien devices were the first to fall. The machines turned on doctors and patients. Schools, with alien tech, locked their doors from the inside. Even air-cleaning towers began releasing black smoke. The gifts had become weapons. Reina and Toshi watched from a rooftop, frozen in horror. They waited, Toshi said. They used our trust. Reina's hands clenched into fists. They turned our kindness into a weakness. Suddenly, a squad of alien drones flew toward them. Reina pulled Toshi down. The drones scanned the area, then moved on. She looked around the city. Smoke was rising from several points. Fires burned near the government buildings. The military was trying to respond, but they were outmatched. Their bullets did nothing against the alien armor. The streets were no longer safe. In another part of the city, an old metal door opened from under a statue. A man stepped out wearing a black coat and carrying a strange device. General Kenji Ishikawa had seen many battles, but this one was different. He pressed a button on the device. A coded signal was sent through hidden channels all across the city. Underground bunkers opened. Old soldiers, retired scientists, and hidden fighters came out. These were the people who had prepared for the worst, the ones no one listened to. They called themselves the Flame of Earth, and now they were ready. Reina and Toshi made it to an old subway station, now used as a hideout. Inside, dozens of resistance members worked fast, loading weapons, building tech, and helping wounded survivors. General Kenji met them at the entrance. "You were right," he said. Reina nodded, her face pale but focused. "We don't have time. They're spreading fast." Toshi pulled out a small map. "We tracked the signal. The central control seems to be in the main alien tower, right in the middle of Shinjuku." Kenji looked at the map. "Then that's our target." By nightfall, the Resistance launched its first mission. A small team, including Reina, Toshi, and 2 soldiers, moved quietly through underground tunnels. Their goal was simple: get close to the Shinjuku Tower and plant a pulse disruptor. Dystopian. Streets above were filled with danger. Drones floated through the air. Alien machines patrolled the roads. Burned cars and broken buildings lined every block. When the team reached a parking garage near the tower, Reina looked up. The alien tower pulsed like a living heart. It glowed deep red. Lightning crackled around it. She whispered, "This is where it starts." Toshi connected the pulse disruptor to the building's power grid. It needed only 1 minute to charge. But suddenly the air changed. A cold wind blew. Reina felt her skin crawl. From the shadows a tall figure stepped forward. It was human, or looked like one. But its eyes glowed white and its body moved too smoothly. "Go!" shouted Reina. "Finish the connection!" The soldiers opened fire, but the bullets passed through the figure. It moved fast, throwing one soldier into a wall. Reina pulled out a stun blade, a prototype weapon. She ran forward and struck. The figure screamed. Sparks flew. It vanished into smoke. Toshi hit the final button. The disruptor sent out a pulse wave. Above them, the alien tower flickered, its light turning from red to white, then crashing dark. The sky shimmered. For a few seconds, all the machines nearby froze. The Resistance had scored its first victory, but Reina knew it was just the beginning. She turned to Kenji's voice on the radio. "Mission success," she said. "We hit them, but they're far from finished." Kenji replied, "Then we don't stop. From this moment forward, Tokyo fights back." Smoke still rose from the broken tower in Shinjuku. The pulse wave had worked. It gave the humans their first real win against the alien invaders. But victory came at a cost. Buildings were damaged, streets were in ruins, and many lives were lost. Tokyo was no longer a glowing city of lights. Now it was a battlefield. Underground. Inside a hidden control room beneath Mount Fuji, General Kenji stood in front of a large screen. Maps showed red zones, areas taken over by alien machines, and blue dots where small resistance teams still held on. He turned to his team. "This is our home. We don't run. We fight." Inside the same bunker, Dr. Reina Sato worked without sleep. Her mind moved fast, jumping between alien tech and human tools. She had one goal: create a weapon that could hurt the invaders. Toshi, sitting beside her, connected wires and hacked into the tower's weak signals. His hands were tired, but his eyes remained sharp. "Look at this," he said, pointing to his screen. "They're using our city grid to power their systems. The water lines, traffic, lights, even subway energy. It's all feeding them." Reina stared. "They're using Tokyo like a battery." She grabbed a marker and started drawing on the wall. "If we can shut down the city's old mainframe, we can cut their power." Toshi looked at her. "You mean Black Core?" Reina nodded. "It's risky. It was buried for a reason, but we have no choice." Meanwhile, across the city, humans began fighting back. Old soldiers came out of retirement. Young students picked up arms. Farmers, engineers, and nurses joined the cause. They had no high-tech weapons, but they had courage and unity. The resistance spread like fire. They trained in old gyms. They used hidden radio stations to send messages. They built shields using scrap metal. Every street corner became a place to plan, to hide, to hope. They called themselves the Flame of Earth. Their symbol, a burning feather, was painted across destroyed walls and broken buses. It was a sign that humanity was not finished. One evening, a new group arrived at the resistance base. They came from Okinawa, divers, deep-sea engineers, and ocean researchers. Their leader, Captain Ayaka, brought news from the coast. "The aliens have towers under the sea," she said, "and they're building something big." General Kenji leaned in. "What kind of big?" "A signal booster," she replied, "strong enough to control every mind on the planet." The room went silent. Toshi spoke first. "Then we stop them before it activates." Captain Ayaka placed a waterproof case on the table. Inside was a small round object, glowing blue. "This is a C-core bomb," she said, "made to break through ocean pressure and destroy deep metal." Reina stepped closer. "We'll need perfect timing, and we'll need a team that can survive." "The depth," Ayaka smiled. "Already picked." As days passed, resistance fighters launched attacks all over the city. They hit supply drones. They stole alien fuel. They saved trapped families and opened safe zones for civilians. One day, a small team led by Reina and Toshi hacked into a tower in Ueno. Inside they found something terrifying, a lab where humans were being studied. Not harmed, but changed. Machines were rewriting their minds, turning them into silent, obedient workers. Reina's heart broke. She whispered, "They weren't just taking our world. They were taking our will." She freed the captives. Some could walk. Some just cried. But all of them held onto Reina's hand like it was the only thing left. That night, she wrote in her journal. They call themselves advanced, but no machine can match the power of a human heart. On the rooftop of the base, General Kenji stood watching the stars. One of the soldiers walked up. "Sir, you think we can win?" Kenji didn't. "Look away from the sky. I don't know," he said. "But I know this. Every second we fight, we stay human, and that's something they'll never understand." Below them, Reina, Toshi, and Ayaka gathered near the war table. Plans were ready. 3 missions, 3 targets. Cut the mainframe. Under the city. Destroy the deep-sea signal tower. Break into the alien heart core in downtown Tokyo. Failure was not an option. Reina looked at her team. "We're not just fighting for today," she said. "We're fighting for every future child, for every song, every book, every dream." Toshi nodded. "Then let's light the fire." And so, while the city above groaned in pain, deep below, humanity was coming alive again. Neon Tokyo had fallen once, now it was rising, with fire in its veins, and this time it was ready to fight back. A deep rumble shook the skies above Tokyo. From a distance, the alien sky fortress could be seen floating like a dark moon. It hovered silently over the city, high above the tallest towers. Its surface was smooth, metallic, and filled with glowing red lights. Giant cannons pointed down toward the earth like sharp teeth. Inside the resistance base, General Kenji stared at the sky through binoculars. "That fortress controls the drones," he said. "As long as it's up there, we'll never win." Dr. Reina Sato stood beside him. "Then we bring it down." Toshi worked around the clock, hacking into the alien network. He found something unusual. One of the fortress's energy shields flickered every 8 minutes. A small gap, a tiny weakness. He turned to Reina. "We can fly through it, but only if we move fast and hit the exact second." Reina nodded. "We'll use the Skyhawk." The Skyhawk was an old jet fighter once, kept in a museum. But the Resistance had rebuilt it using alien tech. It was faster, stronger, and carried a secret weapon. An electromagnetic pulse bomb strong enough to shut down the fortress core. It was dangerous. The pilot might not return. Toshi surprised everyone. "I'll fly it." Kenji stepped forward. "You're not a soldier." "No," Toshi said, "but I understand their systems. I built the bomb. I know the timing. If anyone can do this, it's me." Reina looked at him, fear in her eyes. But she didn't stop him. She only said, "Come back." The next morning, Tokyo's sky was covered in thick clouds. The Skyhawk was rolled out onto a hidden runway near the old city zoo. Toshi climbed in, wearing a modified suit connected to the jet's computer. The Resistance team watched from below as the engines roared to life. 3 minutes to shield gap," Reina said into the radio. "Understood," Toshi replied. The jet lifted off and soared into the sky. Alien drones immediately picked up the signal and gave chase. Toshi weaved between skyscrapers, dodging red beams and flying metal claws. Reina's voice came again. 60 seconds. Toshi pushed the jet higher. The fortress grew larger, a giant shadow in the clouds. He whispered, "This is for Tokyo." As the shield flickered, the Skyhawk shot forward. It entered through the gap at full speed. Inside, the fortress was like a giant maze, cold metal halls, strange lights, and machines crawling like insects on the walls. Toshi landed on a narrow platform and jumped out, carrying the pulse bomb in a metal case. He ran through the corridors, avoiding patrol bots. His heart pounded, but his hands were steady. Finally, he reached the core room. The energy inside was blinding. A large crystal floated above the center, spinning slowly. It powered the fortress, the drones, and the towers below. Toshi placed this bomb beneath it. He began the countdown, 10 minutes. But just as he turned to leave, a voice echoed in the chamber. "You should not have come, Vectal." The alien leader stepped out from the shadows. His eyes glowed brighter than ever. His voice was calm, but full of threat. "You humans never know when to stop." Toshi stood tall. "You didn't expect us to fight. You are clever," Vectal said, "but not wise." He raised his hand. Toshi pulled a small device from his pocket and threw it. It flashed bright, blinding Vectal for a moment. Toshi ran. He sprinted through the fortress as alarms blared. Behind him, machines chased. He reached the platform, but a beam struck his leg. He fell. He looked at the timer. 2 minutes left. He crawled to the edge and activated his escape pod. It launched just as the fortress began to shake. Down below, the people of Tokyo looked up. The sky lit up with a blue flash. The fortress exploded, sending fire and metal raining into the sea. Cheers broke out across the city. Reina held her breath, eyes on the sky, then a parachute opened in the clouds. Toshi was alive. Back at the base, Reina ran to him as he landed. He was burned, bleeding, but smiling. "You did it," she whispered. "No," he replied. "We did." General Kenji walked over, placing a hand on Toshi's shoulder. "You changed the war." The drones across the city stopped. The skies were clear, but everyone knew the fight wasn't over. The aliens had lost their fortress. Now, they would strike back harder. Reina looked at the sky and said, "They will come for us, but now we're ready." The battle for Tokyo was no longer about survival. It was about winning. The sky was quiet now. The alien fortress had fallen, and the drones no longer flew over Tokyo. For the first time in weeks, people could walk outside without fear. Children played in the streets. Some even smiled again. But deep inside the earth, something much worse was waking up. In the resistance base, Dr. Reina Sato looked at a blinking red signal on the screen. "It's not over," she said. "They're building something under the city." Toshi leaned over her shoulder. "Another tower?" Reina shook her head. "No. This is different, bigger. It's buried under the old subway tunnels, far below even our scanners." General Kenji listened quietly. Then he spoke. "They knew the fortress might fall. This is their backup plan." Toshi frowned. "But what is it?" Reina zoomed in on the data. "A mindwave transmitter. If they finish it, they can control all human thoughts. They won't need guns. They'll use our own minds against us." Silence filled the room. Kenji broke it with a single word. "We go in." The tunnels under Tokyo were old and broken. Water dripped from cracked pipes. Rust covered the walls. It was cold and dark, but the resistance team pushed forward. Reina led the group. Toshi followed, carrying a signal blocker on his back. General Kenji walked behind with 2 soldiers. They reached a giant metal door. Strange symbols glowed on it. Alien language, pulsing faintly. Reina touched the surface. It was warm. "They're close to activation," she said. Toshi hacked into the control panel beside the door. Sparks flew. The door groaned open. Inside, the world looked different. The chamber was huge, like a stadium. Alien machines covered the walls, moving like they were alive. At the center, a giant tower rose from the ground. It wasn't just metal, it was part crystal, part living tissue. It pulsed like a heart. Above it floated the core, a spinning orb, glowing deep red, sending out waves of energy. Reyna's eyes widened. That's it. That's the source. Kenji raised his weapon. We destroy it. But before anyone could move, the air shimmered, and Vectal appeared. He floated above them, his eyes brighter than ever. His voice echoed through the chamber. You humans keep pushing forward, he said, but you forget. This was never your world to begin with. Kenji stepped forward. Then you should have stayed away. Vectal laughed softly. We gave you peace. You gave us war. Reyna stared at the core. It was almost fully charged. Time was running out. Toshi whispered, If I connect the blocker now, it might work. Reyna nodded. Do it. But Vectal raised his hand. A wave of force hit them, knocking everyone back. Soldiers fired at him, but the bullets stopped mid-air and melted. Kenji rolled behind a pillar. He looked at Reyna. Go! I'll hold him. No! She shouted. He gave her a soft smile. You're the brain. I'm the shield. Now go! Reyna grabbed Toshi and ran toward the core. Behind them, Kenji stepped into the open. He threw a grenade, then ran to the left. Vectal followed, eyes glowing with anger. Reyna and Toshi reached the base of the core. Sparks flew. Machines began to spin faster. The tower was reacting. Toshi pulled out the blocker and attached it to the control panel. The countdown appeared. 5 minutes. It's charging, he said. Reyna placed a small charge under the crystal stem. We blow this tower the moment it's disconnected. Suddenly, a metal arm shot from the wall and grabbed Reyna's leg. Toshi screamed, Reyna! She fought back, pulling out her stun blade. She slashed the arm and fell free. The timer dropped to 3 minutes. Meanwhile, General Kenji reached the far end of the chamber. He was bleeding, tired, but alive. Vectal landed in front of him. You are brave, old man, but bravery won't save. You! Kenji coughed. I'm not here to be saved. He raised a stolen alien blaster and fired. The shot hit Vectal in the chest, but it wasn't enough. Vectal struck back, throwing Kenji into the wall. As the alien walked closer, Kenji pressed a button on his belt. A hidden mine exploded beneath Vectal. Smoke filled the chamber. Back, at the core, the blocker beeped. Signal is breaking, Toshi shouted. Reyna yelled. Now! She triggered the charge. The tower shook violently. Cracks appeared in the crystal. The spinning orb dimmed, and then silence. The core stopped. The light went out, and the machine collapsed. The chamber began to fall apart. Reyna and Toshi ran as fire and smoke filled the air. Kenji lay under broken metal, still breathing. Reyna grabbed his hand. We did it. We stopped it. Kenji smiled faintly. Then go. Finish what I couldn't. Reyna and Toshi pulled him out just before the chamber collapsed behind them. Back, at the base, the news spread fast. The mindwave transmitter was gone. The last part of the alien trap had failed. For the first time, Earth had stopped the full plan of an alien invasion. Tokyo didn't just survive. It fought back with everything. It had Reyna stood in front of the map board. We've broken their machine, she said. Now we break their will. Morning came, but it wasn't the same Tokyo anymore. The city still stood, but it had changed forever. Towers lay in ruins. Roads were cracked. Smoke drifted over broken rooftops. But the people were standing. They were tired, injured, and grieving, but alive, and they were ready. In the resistance base, Dr. Reina Sato looked over the final plan. The core was destroyed, the fortress was gone, and the mindwave machine was shut down. But Vectal was still out there, hiding in his last stronghold, the main alien command center in the heart of what used to be Tokyo Tower. General Kenji lay in the infirmary, his body broken, but spirit unshaken. He gave Reina a small nod as she passed his bed. "End it," he said. "For all of us." Toshi adjusted his glasses and pointed to a screen. "They still have one working shield around that tower. We can't just fly in." Reina tapped the table. "Then we go under." A secret tunnel, once used by the old metro line, ran straight beneath the Tokyo Tower. It had been closed for years, filled with water and rubble, but the resistance had cleared most of it for escape routes. Now it would be the path to the final battle. Captain Ayaka arrived with her team, carrying shock rifles and portable EMP grenades. "We're ready," she said. "Whatever's waiting inside, we'll face it together." That night, under the cover of darkness, the team moved through the tunnel. It was wet, silent, and narrow. The only sounds were footsteps, heavy breathing, and the hum of equipment. Reina held her weapon tight. Toshi walked behind her, carrying the last energy disruptor. Every step brought them closer to the end. They reached the surface entrance near the base of the tower. Above them, the sky flashed red. The top of the alien tower glowed like a wound. Suddenly, spotlights turned on. Aliens had seen them. "Move!" Ayaka shouted. Blades of light cut through the air as drones descended. Bullets flew. Smoke grenades filled the ground with white clouds. The humans fired back, not with fear, but with purpose. Reina rushed through the smoke, dodging blasts. One drone flew straight toward her, but before it could strike, Toshi jumped in front of her and shot it down. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Let's finish this." They entered the tower. Inside was a world of shadows and machines. The walls were alive with alien code, flashing and shifting. Strange sounds echoed around them. Metal clicking, deep pulses, electric whines. At the top of the spiral stairs, Vectal waited. He stood alone, calm, confident, and still. "You destroyed my fortress," he said. "You broke my towers, but this was never for you." Reina raised her weapon. "You lied to us." "I gave you a chance," he said, stepping forward. "But humans always choose war." Toshi stepped beside Reina. "No. We chose to survive." Vectal's eyes narrowed. He raised both hands, and the tower walls came to life. Mechanical arms shot from the floor. The ceiling split open, showing the glowing sky. The tower began to rise higher into the air, lifting off the ground like a ship. The final escape. "We have to stop the launch," Reina shouted. Toshi ran to the control panel, typing fast. "There's a reactor core under the floor. If we hit it—" Before he could finish, Vectal launched forward. Reina blocked him with her blade. Sparks flew. Her hand burned. She didn't back down. Ayaka and her team arrived, shooting from the side. The alien leader was strong, but now he was outnumbered. Toshi reached the reactor panel and slammed the disruptor in place. He shouted, 5 seconds! Reina looked at Vectal one last time. "You underestimated us," she said. The tower exploded. The shockwave spread across the city. The alien ship crumbled. Debris fell like shooting stars. People looked up from rooftops and bunkers, their mouths open in silence. And then they cheered. The last alien force had fallen. Later, Reina stood on a rooftop watching the sun rise. Neon Tokyo was broken, but it was beautiful. Children played in the streets again. Drones were gone. The sky was clear. Music played from old speakers as neighbors helped each other rebuild. Toshi walked up beside her. "Do you think it's really over?" he asked. She smiled softly. "No. But this time, we'll decide what comes next." General Kenji watched from a chair, wrapped in a blanket, pride in his tired eyes. Ayaka helped rebuild the outer districts, teaching young fighters how to protect their future. Across the city, the symbol of the flame of Earth was painted on walls, rooftops, and even burnt alien machines. A feather on fire. Tokyo had lost its lights, its towers, its calm. But it had found something greater. Its strength, its unity, its fire. And now the world would remember the city not for how it fell, but for how it stood back up and fought.